Indiana County, WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160, WCCSradio.com. Hey, we will get this posted, just a missing persons report just coming in from state police, and it involves a 12-year-old girl, and we'll get her picture up on there, so if you see her, you can help to locate her. Her name is Elena Mason, left her residence last night, has not returned home, lives along 286 West in White Township. So if you see Elena, give a call to state police at 357-1960 or call 911, and they'll fix you up. Okay, we want to get her home. Bob Pollock is with us, the Penn State Extension, of course, on this Friday morning. And Mr. Bob Pollock, presented by Marcus & Mack, voted Best Personal Injury Law Firm in the Best of Indiana County contest. Marcus & Mack, a law firm representing injured people. We're in the month of August. That means we're getting into fair season, aren't we?
Fair season, and in fact, next week will be Ag Progress Days.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. What are some of the highlights you're looking forward to there?
Well, there's always a lot of things going on there, but if you want to see equipment, it'll be there. A lot of equipment will be demonstrated, especially when it comes to processing hay.
Yeah.
And even, sometimes they'll make silage too.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, just to demonstrate the types of machinery that are available and the exhibitors want to show.
You can drive all the way to State College to watch them make silage.
Yes.
That's kind of hard to beat. Let's get to the phones. We've got a caller this morning here on Indiana in the Morning. Bob has to put his headset on.
Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning to you, too.
What can we do for you?
I have a question, obviously. I have a cauliflower plant, and it's turning a reddish purple.
The head is turning reddish purple.
Yeah, the head is turning reddish purple.
Okay.
So there are some varieties that'll tend to have a little reddish tinge to them. Oftentimes, if that head is exposed, it's different than broccoli. A lot of times they will tie up the leaves on cauliflower to keep that head white. If the head is, and you have those wrapper leaves, those bigger leaves that grow up around the base and the sides, but you can put a gum band, just bring those in, gum band that, and or you can tie it with string, either way, and that will protect that head and keep it more of that creamy color. Yeah. Otherwise, when it's exposed to the sunlight, it will get off color. It can kind of get ugly looking. In fact,
does that harm? Does that harm its edibility?
It's still edible, but it doesn't look very edible at that point.
No. It doesn't look pretty.
No,
it doesn't.
No. Yeah, and of course, it doesn't particularly like some of the heat that we're getting right now either.
Okay.
So we're just at that time frame now that's a little bit. If it were, into September, that would be better for it. But the key thing, it'll still be okay. But any of the smaller heads that you might have, just bring those leaves right up around and tie those together, and then that will protect that head from the sun, which causes that to be off color.
Okay, and how I know when it's ready to pick?
It will, usually by the size of the head, not always, but usually, you'll have a head that's about 5 to 6 inches across. You can kind of look at it, and it's okay to take that gum band off, and then just look at those leaves and look down in. You want everything to be firmly together. That, you know what I mean? It'll start to split apart. So you've got a nice solid head. Everything's tight, and this also happens with broccoli. But as it matures and over-matures, then it will start to split apart, and so you won't have that nice, firm top. And, in fact, it'll even start to get flower, because those are flower buds in there. And so when they mature, then they're going to try to open up, and the head will get loose, and it won't be tight and firm anymore.
So basically, once you get the cauliflower head, you can pick it any time depending on the size that you want.
Yep.
Okay.
And the biggest thing is just to watch it and not let it get too off color or to start to kind of split open.
Okay. Will it go back to being creamy color? Or?
Probably not. Once
Okay.
once it changes, it'll probably maintain that
Okay.
that coloration.
Oh, okay.
All righty.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Of course, he could stand over it with an umbrella, but that would probably be not the best thing.
Put some shade cloth in there
Yeah.
and go with it.
But, he brings up an interesting point. At what point is something ready for harvest with different plants? That's hard to tell. Tomatoes turn red, time to pick them.
Yes.
Broccoli, when you cut off that head the first time, it's going to come back as little shoots the next time, but those are still good.
Yeah, and as long as you don't cut it too low to the ground, right, you'll get offshoots that'll come up that will make smaller, almost individual little crowns and heads versus that larger head. But both those are really harvested. Both broccoli and cauliflower are harvested in that immature stage. And then other things, tomatoes and melons and
let's talk
cucumbers are all harvested, at their maturity.
Root plants are harder to tell, of course, because
Right.
you can't really see them.
You can't see them.
We've got beets that are their tops are huge, and
And
when
at
do you
least-
choose to pick those?
Right, and at least with beets, they'll start to push up out of the ground a little bit as those bulbs get larger. And same thing with onions. So they're kind of planted right at as long as you didn't plant them too deeply, as they mature and get larger, you'll start to see them at the top of the soil line and can give you an indication. And beets can be harvested, when they're tiny, or let them get larger. Now, if we let them get too mature, that outer skin it'll start to get tougher
Woody.
and woody. Yes.
Yeah.
And so doesn't make as good a product.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to look at them. It's okay to dig a few up, Oh, hey, I think it's getting, whatever the days to harvest was on that, kind of mark a little date on the calendar or a note that says, oh, I should check these around, this couple of weeks here. If you want younger stuff, same thing with onions. If you want a smaller onion or you want to start harvesting onions early, you can do that.
Now, you told me before, when an onion starts to push up out of the ground like that, don't take soil and cover over where it's pushed up.
Yeah, let that neck alone. Let that neck be exposed. There are some rots that can start to happen there, so we want to let that be exposed, and that also will start to indicate when it's mature. So usually some of the top leaves will start to turn brown, and then they will fold down. And so that's an indicator that, these are starting to get mature. I need to check these and see if they're ready yet. And then like with onions, it's best to try to lift those when it's drier. So like right now.
This would be a good time to
Yes,
lift
because
your onions.
the top of the soil's dry right now. The soil in general is a little drier. You'll get less soil clinging to that, and it's a lot easier to get that shaken off so that we can lift those, and then we need to dry those, let those bulbs dry. Unless we're harvesting them immature, which is fine, and then you can have a nice, if you're growing sweet onions, then you can harvest those and just wash them and use them, cut them up and use them fresh.
Bean rows are now cleaned out. We've harvested the beans, so those rows are the plants are pulled and everything. I can either plant a cover crop in there, plant a second crop of beans or some other crop.
Shorter day.
Or I could just cover it over with plastic. Yes.
Yes.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Should I work that soil before I do that?
Especially if you're trying to. So with the weed seed population, you can harvest the crop, and if you're not planning to put another rotation of anything in there, you could see what germinates, and then tarp it, and essentially that will burn it off, or plant a cover crop, which will also suppress any kind of weed seeds from germinating, but then that will also give you a walkway that where you won't get muddy if you're walking in the garden, and it'll also give you that green manure crop, which will add value and nutrients and organic matter.
I don't want to do this myself, but would people put preen down in order to prevent weeds from forming for the rest of the year?
You could, yes. The one that's labeled for vegetables,
yeah.
Yes, you could do that too. Yeah, so a
And
pre-emergent herbicide.
That's not going to affect next year's crop.
No.
Okay. There we go. We've gotten some actual work done here today, haven't we?
We did.
And Ag Progress Day.
Now you're making me hungry.
Ag Progress is a week earlier than typically.
It's sometimes it's that week later, but it's the 8th to the 10th, Tuesday through Thursday.
Week.
Yes. Yeah, Tuesday through Thursday.
But it's the week before the Dayton Fair this
year.
So
Thank you, Bob. It'll be during some other fair.
It is the voice of Indiana County. It's WCCS 101.1 FM, AM 1160.